The opinions expressed on this program are solely those of individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of either Spectrum Generations or Time Warner Cable. Mature Lifestyle is made possible by Hollywood Casino. There's no place like Hollywood. And by Knowlton Hewins Roberts Funeral Homes and Cremation Service. Our homes are warm and welcoming, and we take care of you and your family like we would our own. Call us anytime. We are here for you.
With 6,000 lakes, 32,000 miles of rivers, and 17 million acres of forest land, there's always something to do outside in the great state of Maine. Nowhere is more popular than the Mid-Coast region, with its scenic peninsulas and its craggy shoreline and its sparkling offshore islands that race all the way from Bath up to Belfast. Now, there's lots to do in Booth Bay Harbor, and there's lots to do in the whole Booth Bay region. The Chamber of Commerce wants you to know that this is a place for boating, hiking, sea kayaking, galleries, restaurants, bed and breakfast, a lot of things to see and do. And this is also the home of Maine's only botanical garden. Booth Bay is situated on the Cape New Wagon Peninsula, a 10-mile-long peninsula that extends into the Gulf of Maine and is situated between the Sheepscot River and the Damariscotta River. In 1623, this was simply a British fishing village, but today it's a place where people come from all over the world and all over Maine. So if you want to come to Booth Bay and you're in Portland, you're only an hour and 15 minutes away. From Bangor, it's 2 hours. From Boston, it's 3 hours. It's a day trip. Here at the Coastal Maine Botanical Gardens, it's especially designed for people of all ages and all abilities. As you can see right here, I'm with Mary Chase and her granddaughter Jaya, who are very active and well-known faces here at the Coastal Maine Botanical Gardens. And Mary, as you can see, is in one of the scooters. This is something new to the garden so that people of all ages and abilities can get around and enjoy the gardens. Mary, you've been coming here since 2009.
Yes.
Does this scooter allow you to do things that you wouldn't otherwise do to get around the 248 acres that are part of Coastal Maine Botanical Gardens?
It certainly does. I can go myself without anybody pushing me or worrying about a certain time for a cart tour. And also last week I took the docent training, so I can lead groups myself now.
Oh, so you're actually a docent and you lead the tours.
And I can lead the tours in this and just stay out of the way and give my little speech.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Mary. I'll let you and Jaya get on with your day in the gardens. Have lots of fun.
Thank you. We love it.
We'll see you soon.
Okay.
Coastal Maine Botanical Gardens is Maine's only botanical garden and the largest botanical garden in northern New England. I'm Dorothy Freeman, guest host of Mature Lifestyle today, talking to you from Coastal Maine Botanical Garden. If you've not visited the gardens, you may want to do it. It's the 5th birthday of the gardens being open to the public, and they have a new book that's called Coastal Maine Botanical Gardens, A People's Garden. Today, we're going to take a look around the gardens. We're going to meet the Executive Director, Bill Cullina, and the President of the Board of Directors, Susan Russell. So, stay with us. We're going to look around the gardens. Bill Cullina is the Executive Director of Coastal Maine Botanical Gardens. Everyone just calls it the Gardens. And Bill is also the 2012 winner of the Scott Medal, which is the highest award that goes to people in the field of horticulture for lifetime achievement. So, Bill, you came here originally in 2008 as the Director of Horticulture, educated in Connecticut and New York, but you have a special tie to Maine. You want to tell us about that?
I like to say I'm married into Maine. My wife is from Mount Desert Island, and we got married in Maine, and we came up so much that I just fell in love with Maine, and So this opportunity came up and I had to take it.
Well, tell us about the gardens. Right now we're in the Learner Garden of the Five Senses, and you call this an enabling garden. What is that?
Well, the concept behind this garden, which opened in 2009, was to create a space for people of all physical abilities. Sometimes being outdoors is hard if you use a walker or a wheelchair, or you just have trouble bending over or walking long distances. And so we created this garden especially for people to be able to access easily.
And there are 5 nodes of the garden that are related to the 5 senses. And how have you horticulturally tried to adapt to make it an enabling garden?
Well, the five nodes, like you said, are designed around the 5 senses: the sense of smell, the sense of taste, the sense of sight, hearing, and touch. And some of those are a little easier to accomplish with plants than others, of course. Color and sight and smell and taste. Sound was a little difficult, but we have, as you can hear in the background, the sound of the water, the ohm stone, and that kind of thing. What you notice in this garden, it was our first garden that actually has a paved surface, a paved path. All the paths are designed to be gently sloping. You don't notice it at first, but when you enter in, you come in and you slowly spiral around down to the bottom, and then you come back out again. So there's this journey to the center and then back out, and it has become really one of our most popular spaces. People just love this garden, whether they're 2 years old or 75 years old.
Tell us some of the plants, some of the very unique aspects of this garden. What's in here?
Well, for smell, when you first enter the garden, we try to plant a succession of fragrant smelling plants. Lilies, viburnums, daphnes, hyacinths, things that bloom through the year. We also have herbs, fragrant herbs that people can touch. There's little sinks if people, it's kind of like a wine tasting where you rinse your mouth out. There's a little sink so you can wash your hands off between smells. And we have an area where we grow vegetables for people can taste. In the spring where we're standing right now, we have a big tulip display which we've taken out, and we've just put in a lot of summertime annuals. This is we're in the color node or the sight node. And you can also see the reason we're here is because you get this beautiful panorama of the garden. That's on purpose. This is the high point of this garden, with the idea that you're looking out at the whole thing.
Now, this garden opened in 2009, and how many gardens are there altogether here? Ornamental and edible gardens?
Are you talking in the property or?
Sure, in the entire 248 acres.
We have about 18.5 acres of intensively cultivated gardens. Some more traditional things like you'd see at a botanical garden, a rose garden, a rhododendron garden, but a lot of the gardens we have here are not designed around a particular plant theme. The children's garden, our edible garden, our hillside garden, meditation garden. So, and also, in addition to the gardens, there's some incredible natural areas. We're so fortunate to have this property with the outcrops, the moss, the ocean, and so you can find your comfort level, what you're ever in the mood for. If you want color and excitement, we've got the more intensively cultivated gardens, and as you move away from that down toward the water, it gets more subdued and serene.
And you've been at the gardens for 4 or 5 years, and what was your vision? What were you trying to create here? You said there were about 17 or 18 acres out of the 248 acres that have been actively cultivated. So there seems to be a commitment to preserving as much of the natural landscape and the botanical features as possible.
Yeah, we want to create a garden that the people of Maine are proud of, that represents Maine, but also represents the possibilities of what you can do in Maine. Because I think a lot of people, especially from away, see Maine as basically mosquitoes, moose, and spruce trees. And what we want to show them here is that it's not only a wonderful state, a wonderful people, but a great gardening climate, especially here on the coast with the moderating effects of the water. We can get away with a lot of things horticulturally that people struggle with elsewhere.
What's the most frequent question you get from gardeners? I know people call you from all over the country, wanting to have special insight. What are the most frequent things?
I'd say, not surprisingly, the most common thing is, when's the best time to come to the gardens?
And when is the best time to come to the gardens?
The answer is, it's not to be flipped, but I don't think there really is a good time. I mean, the winter, it's more, there isn't too much to see, but we intentionally plant this whole place so that there's always something to see, there's always something in bloom, the foliage, the natural beauty. So any time from spring all the way through into autumn, it really is beautiful here. And I think that's one of the keys to our success and popularity is that people aren't disappointed. I mean, I just talked to some people a few minutes ago, and she just walked out the door and she said, just found out about this place, and oh my gosh, I think we picked the perfect day to come. And they saw the peonies in bloom and things like that, but it's a great destination no matter what time of the year you're here.
Now, are people surprised that you're open year-round, that this is not just in the summer?
Yeah, I think it shocks everybody, that idea that in Maine, I mean, you basically just zip up and close up and everything shuts down. And certainly it's not like it is in the summertime here, but we're open for people to cross-country ski, to snowshoe. In a winter like we just had where there wasn't much snow, people hike the trails and just enjoy nature. And it's nice to just be open basically 363 days a year. We're closed Christmas and we're closed Thanksgiving, and that's about it.
So from April until Thanksgiving, you charge admission to get into the gardens, but after that, people can come in and see what's called the bones of the gardens. What does that mean?
The bones of the, yeah, it sounds a little macabre, but the bones basically, once all the flowers are dormant and the trees lose their leaves, you really see the structure of the garden. It's similar to, say, when you're building a house and before you got all the siding on and you see the structure of the timbers that make up the house. And I think that if you're interested in garden design, it really helps to see that during the off-season. You're not distracted by the color and the plants, and think about how paths are laid out and how rocks are placed and how we work with topography and that sort of thing.
Now, in the 5 years since the garden, although the gardens actually began 20 years ago, you're celebrating your 5th birthday in the summer of 2012 of being open to the public. And each year you've had a growing number of visitors, but in 2012, in your birthday year, what are you expecting?
Well, we're hoping for it to surpass 100,000 visitors this year. I think we've had a great spring so far with the early spring, and I think more and more people are finding out about us. And so I'm cautiously optimistic that we'll crack 100,000 this year.
And you have visitors from around the world, and you have members. People can become a member of the gardens from close to all 50 states. As I was reading the statistics, it said 70% of the members of the gardens are from Maine and 30% are from away. But I'd like to talk about the affordability of coming to the gardens. I mean, if the cost of the gardens is less than if you buy a ticket to a theater and if you want to have popcorn and something to drink with it. And you also have special rates for seniors.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
So do you find that this is a popular destination, in part because there are things to do in the whole region, but I would think that the gardens is an anchor for a lot of the visits, a lot of the tourism.
It is. It is. It's really bringing people to the Boothbay Peninsula in a way that we could have never imagined. When we first conceived of this, we were thinking, well, we'll be lucky if we attract 25,000 people a year here, and after 5 years to be talking about 100,000 and then beyond is remarkable. I do feel that our average ticket price is about $10, less for seniors and children and more for a standard adult. Members, of course, get in free, and that's one of the great member benefits. But when you consider what, that just going out to lunch, what it costs, or just going to a movie, and people can come here and spend a whole day. We have a beautiful cafe. We have a gift shop. We have acres and acres of gardens to explore. So often people will come here in the morning and then stay all day, maybe come back the next day too.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a look at one of the other gardens, the Bibby and Harold Alphont Children's Garden, and Bill will be back with us then, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This is the new Hollywood. Hollywood Casino, featuring the heart-pounding action of live table games with Vegas-style blackjack, roulette, poker, and more. Now playing at the place where the fun never stops. From the thrill seekers to the blockbuster winners, here you've got the lead role, because there's no place like Hollywood.
Spectrum Generations. Live healthy, live well. Get answers, get connected. Spectrum Generations, specializing in the art of aging.
Life should be celebrated. It's a special day when family and friends gather together to celebrate the life of a loved one. A celebration of life helps us honor our loved one and keep our memories alive. Whether you're planning a traditional funeral, a creative celebration of life, or a blend of both, at Knowlton Hewins Roberts, we are truly committed to meet the personal and unique needs of you and your family. Knowlton Hewins Roberts. Visit us online or visit our 2 locations in Augusta and Winthrop.
We're now in the Bivy and Harold Alphont Children's Garden. I'm still here with Bill Cullina. Bill, tell us about this wonderful garden that's especially designed for children.
This is our most ambitious project. It opened in 2010. It's about 2.5 acres, and it has so many different features that engage kids. We tried to build this garden so that it would be fun and educational, but not kitschy and hokey. And right behind us is a little play cottage with a sod roof. You can see in the background over there is a story barn that's filled with books written by Maine authors, children's books. And that theme of children's literature and Maine children's books is what inspired a lot of the elements in this garden. We've got the Tylee Eiley from Burt Dow, Deep Water Man,
Sure.
Charlotte's Web. E.B. White was a Maine writer, and we've got the sort of the farm behind us.
You have a birch bark canoe that was made by Barry Dana.
Yep, one of the local Penobscot folks. And so, but it's also just a fun garden to walk around if you don't have kids with you. We tried to plant it with lots of interesting plants, and it's laid out beautifully. So it has been just a really popular garden for everybody.
Now, the 3 legs of the mission of the gardens to preserve the botanical heritage and the coastal landscapes of the mid-coast area, but it's education, research, and horticulture, and education and programming is an enormous part of what you do. There are more than 100 different programs, I'm told. Tell us about 2 or 3 of the most important programs going on at the gardens.
Well, we have both children and adult programming.
So all ages, and if you're not a master gardener, can you still come here and learn something?
That's right. We have one of the great programs for adults that's been very popular is our certificate in native plant horticulture, and the idea with that is that you can come and take, just like you're going to a short college curriculum where we've got a series of courses laid out where you really learn everything you need to know over the course of 2 years. And then graduate with a really good understanding of horticulture and sustainable horticultural practices and native plants. And we have about 15 or 18 students a year that go through that. We have a program for kids that I especially like called Growing Greens, which is involves is a partnership with the local YMCA here in Booth Bay, and they come once a week and they help grow food here in the children's garden. They're actually growing a product that then they're going to sell at a farmer's market. They do activities they learn about, and we have kids in there that have been in it for several years, so they're learning, continuing as they go along. Another, speaking of growing food, another popular course that we have is of growing your own food for adults, and that came about because we had a lot of people that said, geez, I'd like to grow my own food. I have no idea. People have lost that agricultural knowledge that everybody used to have in this country, and so it's designed from choosing your own seeds to how to start them, to laying out a garden and improving the soil and harvesting and canning. And this year we're doing an advanced version of that where they're learning about things like growing mushrooms and herbs and cut flowers and things like that too.
So sustainable gardening is an important part, I think, of just the whole Maine mystique. Spectrum Generations, which provides Meals on Wheels all across central Maine, has a program called We Sustain Maine, where they buy food locally, prepare it locally, and deliver it to people in need. Are you hearing visitors that come to the gardens that they also have that interest, they want to know about that, and they want to know about sustainable gardening without chemicals? And is that part of what you do here?
Yeah, that interest in both growing your own food and gardening organically, gardening without chemicals, gardening with less water has really exploded in the last 5 years or so. And we try to showcase that here. We try to garden here organically as best we can. We don't use pesticides. We water when we need to, but it's an important message for visitors to see what you can accomplish with putting less chemicals into the environment, and also a lot less cost doing it that way too.
There are lots of children here. You have a program where school children come in. There are a lot of children and schools that are taking advantage of that.
Well, there's our program that we work with local schools is called Cultivating Curiosity, and this year we've had about 1,400 school kids come during the spring from all over the state, and they come for a morning or an afternoon and run around, but there's also curriculum tied in with that too, so it's not just sort of a chance to romp, but they're learning something too.
Thank you, Bill. I know you're busy. I know you need to get back out to the gardens. There are visitors that want to talk to you, and certainly you're very generous with your time telling people about what's going on at the gardens and what's going on in their own gardens. So thank you very much for inviting us to the gardens today. We'll be back in just a moment.
Spectrum Generations. Live healthy, live well. Get answers, get connected. Spectrum Generations, specializing in the art of aging.
If you're familiar with the nonprofit community of Maine, you probably already know my next guest, Susan Russell, who has always been involved in nonprofits both in Tennessee and in Maine, and most recently was the chairman of Kiev Wavis Education, and is now the president of the board of directors at Coastal Maine Botanical Gardens. So welcome, Susan.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Now, as a nonprofit organization, the Gardens doesn't receive government funding, and it didn't come from a big estate. Tell us a little bit about what that means as a nonprofit organization and how you keep this wonderful place open.
The mission of this place, which is to promote horticulture, education, and research, actually is so inspiring when you see it, how it's acted out on the ground, all around you. And I think what the purpose of the nonprofit, what we've been able to do is to mobilize hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people who have shared this interest in the mission and the vision of what this place can be. So to me, the excitement is to see how many people it takes to orchestrate this beautiful, beautiful place and to really make it grow and inspire other people yet to come. I like to think of it as we're for all ages, but we also are for the ages. Going forward, we're building things here that our great-great-great-greats, yet unborn generations will look back and say, oh my gosh, look at that wall, look at those stones, look at that planting, look at the trees, the waterfront, and realize that people of vision, thousands of people of vision, 50 or 100 years before them had put this place together.
And I know that you have thousands of members, and the Gardens in the past 10 years alone has raised more than $20 million. You're wrapping up a capital campaign.
We are.
And I know you welcome people if they want to be part of that. But As you're looking to the future, I know that you refer to this as a people's garden. What does that mean exactly?
It really does mean what you said initially, is that there wasn't just one person that had a view and a lot of money that could create something, but that it came out of many, many people putting their visions together and then supporting it. In our story, though, there were 7 founders that had such faith in creating this place that they actually put their homes up for collateral in order to buy the property that we are now sitting on, and then created the organization around it, invited other people to come in and help them build a charter membership and make initial gifts and start the planning and visioning process. And I think that's what attracted me to this fabulous organization, is that it is an organization of doers and dreamers and people that know how to get things done, but we're also exploring and trying out things along the way, which is what every gardener knows you have to do. Some things you plant and it works, and some things it doesn't, and you try again.
And I know that you're celebrating your 5th birthday. Happy birthday
Thank
to
you.
the gardens. But also the best is yet to be. If someone thinks that there's not more going on in the future, they would be mistaken.
They would be. We have a master planning committee underway, which is the group that starts to think about what is the next 10, 15, 20, 50 years going to look like. And we then set about creating a new vision and extending our borders in that way. It's very, very exciting, and I hope you'll come along for the ride too.
Thank you so much. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
This is the new Hollywood. Hollywood Casino, featuring the heart-pounding action of live table games with Vegas-style blackjack, roulette, poker, and more. Now playing at the place where the fun never stops. From the thrill seekers to the blockbuster winners, here you've got the lead role, because there's no place like Hollywood.
Gosh, it's been a wonderful day here at the Gardens in Booth Bay. You know, if you're watching this program and you live anywhere in Maine, you're a day trip away. From Boston, Nova Scotia, you can get here. Same thing for New Hampshire. Treat yourself and your family, and whether you're coming in the summer or you're coming in the off-season, please think about taking a trip to the Mid-Coast. They call this the Jewel of the Mid-Coast, and I think it's probably a pretty good name. Whether it's people that love to hike, or people who love flowers or sculpture or education or programs, there's something here for everyone. And if you're a senior in Maine, just remember the last week of September is Active Aging Month, and this is a great place to hike or use one of the scooters. We're always happy to see the gang at Spectrum Generation from Damariscotta coming to the gardens. This is a unique Maine story. These gardens didn't come from a large benefactor or a university. This is a people's garden. 7 people from Booth Bay who used their homes as down payment to purchase the land so that the gardens could be here for all of Maine. And they have a new book called Coastal Maine Botanical Gardens, a people's garden. You can get this in the Gardens bookstore, in their gift shop, or you can buy it online at Down East. This has been a wonderful day. So happy to see you again. I'm Dott Freeman, and this is Mature Lifestyle.
Mature Lifestyle is made possible by Hollywood Casino. There's no place like Hollywood. And by Knowlton Hewins Roberts Funeral Homes and Cremation Service. Our homes are warm and welcoming, and we take care of you and your family like we would our own. Call us anytime. We are here for you.
You're watching TWC TV, only on Time Warner Cable.